The Holy Gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ, according to Luke.
Glory to you, Lord Christ.
When some were speaking about the temple, how it was adorned with beautiful stones and gifts dedicated to God, Jesus said, "As for these things that you see, the days will come when not one stone will be left upon another. All will be thrown down." They asked him, "Teacher, when will this be? And what will be the sign that this is about to take place?" And he said, "Beware that you are not led astray. For many will come in my name and say, 'I am he,' and 'the time is near.' Do not go after them. When you hear of wars and insurrections, do not be terrified, for these things must take place first. But the end will not follow immediately." Then he said to them, "Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be great earthquakes, and in various places famines and plagues. And there will be dreadful portents and great signs from heaven. But before all this occurs, they will arrest you and persecute you. They will hand you over to synagogues and prisons, and you will be brought up before kings and governors because of my name. They will give you an opportunity to testify. So make up your minds not to prepare your defense in advance. For I will give you words and a wisdom that none of your opponents will be able to withstand or contradict. You will be betrayed even by parents and brothers, by relatives and friends, and they will put some of you to death. You will be hated by all because of my name, but not a hair of your head will perish. By your endurance, you will gain your souls." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Christ.
My Lord, what a morning! My Lord, what a morning! Oh, my Lord, what a morning! When the stars begin to fall, you'll hear the sinner mourn, to wake the nations on the ground. Look into my God's right hand when the stars begin to fall. My Lord, what a morning! My Lord, what a morning! Oh, my Lord, what a morning! When the stars begin to fall. Amen. Good morning.
Good morning.
We have a pleasure this morning to have Reverend Dr. Clive E. Neil with us. Thank you so much for being here. And Reverend Dr. Clive E. Neil, the son of Arthur Neil and Lillian Neil, was born in Jamaica, West Indies. His love of education and hard work caused him to excel in high school, which earned him the opportunity to attend Eastern University in St. David's, PA. Graduating with honors, Dr. Neil was awarded a Princeton University fellowship and later graduated with a master's in divinity. In 1991, Dr. Neil received his doctorate in counseling from Drew University in Madison, New Jersey. The subject of his dissertation was developing healthy interpersonal relationships. During his college years, Dr. Neil was called from the world of science into the ministry of the gospel. In 1985, he became an ordained Presbyterian minister and began his pastorship at Trenton Presbyterian Church, Bronx, New York. He served there faithfully from 1985 to 1988. In 1988, God joined together the ministry of the congregation of Bedford Central Presbyterian Church and the ministering gifts of Dr. Neil to create a dynamic, Christ-centered, Bible-believing, people-building, community-reaching church. Over the past 34 years, Pastor Neil's ministry has been based on Ephesians 4, verse 12, which instructs him to equip God's people to do God's work, to build up the church and the body so that we may become unified and grow in the knowledge of God. In taking this mandate seriously, Pastor Neil has led and inspired the congregation to create, develop, and institute a Bible Institute and a Christian counseling ministry. Under Dr. Neil's leadership, the homeless have been fed, a food pantry have been implemented, small Bible study groups have been created, a second worship service have been added, adults have received literacy training, the church's adult choir have recorded a CD, 13 lay pastors have been trained, liturgical dance ministries have flourished, and AIDS ministry is present. The focus of Dr. Neil's and the church's ministry, an app was developed, and the church now has a large social media following across the world due to his creative leadership during the pandemic. An accomplished author, Dr. Neil has written 3 books, Dancing with Danger, Turning Obstacles into Opportunities, Breaking Through, and Unleashing the Truth. As a licensed psychiatrist, he has taught and lectured at many New York City premier colleges. Dr. Neil is a former professor of pathology at the Metropolitan College of New York and New York Theological at Auburn Theological Seminaries. He continues to lecture and preach in various academic settings around the country. He is active in the Dallas, Texas-based Ministry Leadership Network, which seeks to equip leaders with relevant, innovative skills for ministry. Dr. Neil has traveled extensively through the world. Since 1986, his travels have taken him to the Caribbean, South America, Africa, Europe, Haiti, Cuba, and the Orient. Dr. Neil has been the keynote speaker in both the Ethiopia and Ghana World Alliance Conference, and in 2007, ministered on a World Vision Mission trip to Rwanda. Since then, he has become an ambassador for the mission, registering more than 400 sponsors for orphans living in Rwanda. In 2008, Dr. Neil had the privilege to study at Oxford University in England as a Georgetown Scholar. He is currently enrolled as one of the Leadership Network Scholars and is on the advisory board for the New York Leadership. Dr. Neil is a proud father of 2 grown children, Asia and Darius. And St. Thomas, can you please join me to welcome Reverend Dr. Clive Neil, worshiping with us today.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. It's a delight to be here with you this morning. We are grateful to your pastor, my friend, for many years. We worked out at the same gym. He's a gym man. And for many years, we worked together in East Brooklyn churches. And I bring you greetings from the Bedford Central Church located at Nostrand and Dean. You may be seated, please. what a delight to be here once again today to welcome you. And I just got in last night from Ethiopia. So I'm in a jet lag with 7 hours difference. And so my body is in a different place right now, but it's good to see your faces and the smiles on your faces. And I bring you greetings from your brothers and sisters in the great land of Ethiopia, Ghana, and indeed Rwanda. So thank you so much for being here this morning. 150 years, am I correct? 150 years that God has been faithful to this church, to your leadership, to those who have served in the past, those who are presently leading. And God has really blessed you with a tremendous ministry right here in Bushwick, a place in which the gospel needs to be preached and loved, and people are looking for some place. I'm glad that you are available. For those on social media, we welcome you. We are glad that you are watching today, and we are so glad that you are part of this great fellowship and this great worship occurring here. My task this morning is to remind us that God has done some great things, but God wants to do some greater things with this church in the future. We are grateful for the past. We are grateful for the faithfulness that has transpired over the years. But I am on tiptoe expectancy about what God's going to do with you and through you. You are the right people in the right place at the right time. And so I am excited about that. And for St. Thomas to be on the precipice of some greatness, I'm glad you're going to be a part of this great mission. The Old Testament lesson that was read from Isaiah chapter 55 gives us a backdrop of what we want to talk about this morning. 2 weeks ago, my daughter moved a year to Orlando. And 2 weeks ago, I went to spend a few days with her in Orlando. And she's working at the hospital. She worked the 3 to 11 shift in Orlando. I was in the house, and when she got back, it was about 11:30 that night. And since I was leaving that morning, she just wanted to talk. And so daddy and daughter began to talk for a while. When I looked around, it was 4 a.m. in the morning. I had to make a decision. Should I go to bed and sleep an hour? Because the Uber was slated to come at 5:30 that morning. So I said, I'm not going to go to bed. I'm going to stay up all night. And so you can imagine, because if I'd gone to bed for an hour and I wake up in the morning, I would have an attitude. And so that morning I woke up, I stayed all night, and I took the Uber to the plane. Had to leave at 8 a.m. And when I got to the terminal and got to the gate, you know what happened. I fell asleep. One of those deep sleep where you have your mouth open and drooling down the side. And I didn't hear them calling my name. They kept on calling my name. When I shook myself and wake up, they had changed the gate. I had to run from my gate to where the new gate was. And when I got to the new gate, I ran on the plane. And when I sat down, it dawned on me that you and I can always realize that we are so exhausted by what is behind us that we cannot hear God calling us into the newness He wants to call us into the future. We can be so exhausted by all the things that has gone in the past that we cannot hear God calling us into a new direction in the future. And I'm not just talking about a plane flight this morning. I'm talking about life. I'm really talking about life, that some of us are so exhausted by the past experiences of life. Some of us are so exhausted by all the trauma and the trials that we have gone through in life. Some of us are so fatigued by the failures of everything that we have encountered and we have gone through so much. It's hard for me to come this morning and talk to you about a new season when all we can think about is the past. The pain of the past, the difficulty of the past. And we have come to worship, and there's so much on our minds. That we feel tired of all the things that we have endured. We are worn out by all the trials, all the funerals we have gone through over the last 2.5 years. How many people we have lost along the way. We have been through a lot. If the truth be told, and the person beside you begin to tell his or her story, you recognize how much we have been through. Everybody has a story to tell.
Yes.
Everybody. The stress on our jobs, the bills that are hard to pay. Have you gone shopping lately?
Yep.
Have you seen the prices?
Yep.
Everybody is under a tremendous amount of stress. We are tired of all the fake friends we have. Those who smile in our face and talk about us behind our backs. Tired of all the fake friends that they're always. We are tired of all the mess in our families. Everybody is going through so much from January until now in November. We have borne and carried so much burdens. We are exhausted by life. And here comes Isaiah. Want to remind us that it could be a new season. Does Isaiah know what we go through? Does Isaiah live in your house and my house? Does he understand what we wake up to every single morning? And here comes a preacher want to talk to you about having a new expectation for a new season. After 150 years, what else can we do? Do we have to keep on doing the same old thing? Or are there new things that God will introduce us? Is God's grace something of the past? Or is God's grace something also of the future? That's the contemplation of this whole struggle that happened here in this text. And if that's how you're feeling this morning, come and hang out with me in Isaiah, because Isaiah is only telling the story of the people of Israel. That's all he's doing. The people of Israel had gone through so much in life. You know the story in this great church, because you know the church of Israel had God had taken them out of Israel, and they were now in Egypt, and they had spent all the time in Egypt, and God finally decided to give them a break and to take them out of bondage. You know the story. But they started to complain. They didn't want to try anything new because they were accustomed to all they had done for 150 years. And so all they want to talk about, we have never done this before. All they want to say, we have not tried that before. And God had brought them out, and God started to recognize that they were stuck in the past, and God decided finally he was going to gather them on Mount Sinai. And he gave them the 10 Commandments. And he had this marvelous dialogue with them. The 10 Commandments that speak of how they ought to worship God. The 10 Commandments that talk about how they ought not to have any other false gods. The 10 Commandments that give them a rules for how they ought to relate to each other. The 10 Commandments that tell them how they should not steal from each other. They should not be envious of each other. That they should not always forget that there's only one true God. God gave that to them, and God summoned Moses, and Moses, come up here to Mount Sinai and take with you 2 tablets. And you know what happened when Moses went up with Joshua up into the mountain to have the 10 Commandments written on the tablets? You know what happened? That they waited for Moses, and Moses took too long. Because we live in a Burger King, McDonald's, Wendy's culture. We want everything done when? Right now. And when Moses came down, what they saw was that the children of Israel decided that they're going to make graven image. A golden calf was made, and God was mad, and God was so angry at them that God killed 3,000 people on the spot. And he sent a plague on them to convince them that he was serious. that they should not have any other God but him. And here they were, as Isaiah began to talk about it. Can God open a new door, or will we live under the punishment forever? Can we turn the page? Can we deep down create a new possibility and a new opportunity? Can tomorrow be better than our today? That's our struggle. Live in the possibility. Here is the issue. They were so traumatized by what they have been through, they could not hear God calling them into a new tomorrow. That's the danger that we all face. They were so burdened by what they have been through, they couldn't deserve God's desire for them. They were stuck in their yesterday. They could not see into God's tomorrow. And Isaiah came because just like them, we too are burdened by all that we have seen. Who would have known that in America, the great land that we love and respect, that one of their leading politician home would be broken into and a husband with a hammer? In America? We're accustomed to that happening in other countries. But the Speaker of the House, if she was home, both her legs would have been broken. That was the intention. What has happened to us as a people? Every subway is now a possible crime scene. It's nervous just taking the subway. How can we keep on enduring all the pain that we see around us, all the broken relationship? They were stuck in the past. And they were so exhausted by the experience, so weighed down by all the physical, emotional, financial stress that they cannot see any light in their tomorrows. Who would have known? Who would have known that we would come to like this? For 11 months of this year, God has kept us, hasn't he? We are in the 11th month. Can I whisper something in your ears just in case you don't know? You are only 7 weeks away from Christmas. I hope you started shopping. But God has kept us over the last 11 months. I know the money has been tight. I know friends has hurt us, but God has been faithful to us. And I want to tap you on the shoulders this morning, the second Sunday in November. I want to declare to you that there is some great things that are about to happen in your life. Stop talking about your best days are behind you. You don't know the God I know. You don't know the God that we worship Sunday after Sunday? That God is able to do some brand new stuff in our midst? Have you not heard, have you not seen that God is committed to you, that God shall supply all your needs according to the richness in glory? That God is your refuge and God is your strength, a present help in time of trouble? That the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of your life. Of whom shall I be afraid? That's the God you worship. Amen. And so the children of Israel came to discover that God's wrath is only temporary, but his mercy endures forever. Wow. The anger of God is short-lived, but God's mercy endures forever and ever and ever. And if you go through the Bible 47 times, whenever you see that phrase, his mercy endures forever, it is always preceded by, oh, give thanks unto the Lord. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord because his mercy endures. Come on, you can talk back to me. His mercy, that God has been merciful. And so in this passage in Isaiah, God gave them three things, St. Thomas, as you prepare for some great things in your future. God wanted to tell the children of Israel through the prophet Isaiah, number one, God said, my promise is greater than your past. My promise to you is greater than your past. As great as your past is, the amount of lives that have been changed and impacted by this church, the number of people whose vision and whose desire have been rearranged because of this church, for the love that has been expressed over the years by this church, all those are tremendous memories, and we thank God for them. But be it known unto you that there are some greater days ahead. I'm about to do a new thing, and you are going to be the recipient of this new thing. So he says, my promise to you is greater than you hold on just to the memories of the past. Amen. Thank God for them. Celebrate them. Leave this place, he told the children of Israel, because I'm going to take you into a promised land in which you shall have milk and honey. I'm going to use everything that you have gone through to sweeten your life. Do you know that nothing is wasted when it comes to God? That God can use every experience, good or bad, in your life. For some good, all things work together for the good of he or she who believe in God's name and are called according to God's purpose, says Romans chapter 3:28. That's the God we worship. Notice he said, I'm going to take you into a land that flows with milk and honey. I must confess to you that I love to go to the movies. I love to go to the movies. Sometimes I just go there to sleep. I'm telling you the truth. That's the only place I go there. They start and I just sleep all through the movie. Because once the light goes off, my eyes just go down. But you need to know also that there's something about going to the movies. Sometimes the movie that you watch is not all that good. But what they tell you is that they give you what they call the previews. And sometimes the previews are so excited, you say to yourself, I've got to see this one. I haven't seen it yet, but I saw the preview for what's the movie? Wakanda Forever? Yes, people are going in droves to see it. But I saw the previews and I said, I've got to see this. I saw, the one with Viola Davis, the whole idea of woman king. And I said, wow, I've got to see it. I saw it. There's one about Emmett Till coming out in February. And I said, sometimes we as Christians need to know we have some previews in the scriptures. There are some things that God has said to us that make us excited about all that God want to do for us in his word. All things shall work together. My God is greater than everything that you face. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. The Lord is my light. All those are previews. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Previews. Don't celebrate the greatness. Make sure you celebrate the greatness of this church, but don't hold back on the promise that God has made to you about your tomorrows, and that God can use everything that you have gone through to make you stronger. Nothing is wasted when it comes to God. Don't forget that. The second thing that we saw in Isaiah is that you have to pursue God's presence in a new way. One more time. We have to pursue God's presence in a new way. Whatever level of energy it took us to get through 150 years, it's going to take some new energy to take us to the next 150 years. What do you mean by that, Pastor? We have to increase. The Psalm 42 says, as the deer panted after the water brooks, so my heart panted after you, O God. We have to desire God in a new way. We have to spend more time in our own personal devotions, asking God, how can you use me today? We have to spend more time in prayer, asking God to open up some possibility. Allow me to be a light today at work. Allow me to be a light in my home. Allow me to be a light to my neighbor. God, if you can use anything, use me. Use me. He says we have got to pursue God in a new way. God said, I'm going to send you, Moses, some angels to watch over you. And Moses said, no, I don't want any angel. God, I want your presence. That's where I am in my own life. I can't go a minute these days without God. With all the things I have been exposed to and seen around the world and seen in my own church, we lost 27 people in my church to COVID. 27. Do you know the amount of grief that is lingering in the pew? Do you know the amount of pain in the pews? We need God. Don't just ever think you can make it without God. That's the reason if a person comes to your mind when you're home, call them.
Amen.
If a person comes into your spirit, check on them, text them. Because the next thing you know is brother so-and-so, sister so-and-so is gone. And then you say, you know, I was just thinking about her. Make sure that we have got to make sure in these critical times as we embark on a new future to make sure we are seeking God in new ways. New ways. Can I talk to you close this morning? How about things between you and God? Do you talk with him? Have a good talk with Jesus. Tell him about your trouble. He will hear your faintest cry. He will answer by and by. Have you talked to him lately? Have you spent some time reading his word? Do you look forward to watching on social media or coming amongst the people with a sense of expectations? Behold, I'm doing a new thing. Because when we do a new thing, John said, he is the vine and we're only branches, and we cannot do much unless we abide in him. We need him. A new season. New season. I'm going to beg you, if you're spending 5 minutes, go to 10 minutes in prayer. If you're spending 10 minutes in Bible reading, go to 15 minutes. And watch how God slowly penetrate your thoughts and transform your thinking and behavior in new ways. And somebody's going to tell you, you are different. How come you're not as grumpy as everybody else? I thought as you get older, you're supposed to be mean and angry. No, the joy I have, the world didn't give it to me. And the world cannot take. I got better as I got older. Stop this notion because you're older, you got to be grumpy and mean. No. You know somebody who renews your strength like an eagle. Every single day. Hunger for God. Desire God. Seek his presence. And watch God transform you in different ways. Ray, your past can be greater than your future can be greater than your past. Pursue God's presence in a new way. And finally, recognize the glory of God can be found in unique places. I walked in here this morning and I could feel the presence of God. There could be larger churches, packed churches. God is not impressed by that. God is impressed when on a cold, we didn't know it was going to be this cold this morning. On a cold, dreary day like this, that you got out of your bed, and you got up and put on social media, and you made sure you're part of worship. And God understand that. And the more we deposit into God's presence, is the more when trouble comes, we can withdraw from what we have deposited. And so Moses discovered, as Isaiah want to say, God said, Moses, I want to show you my glory, but my glory will not be found in the usual way. I thank God for every member of St. Thomas who have worked and loved and sacrificed and was committed and convicted and who gave this church many years of faithfulness. Amen. I thank God for them. But God is about to use you in some new and unique way. And everything that you have endured, every tears you have cried, every work, every frustration you have gone through, God's the reason I put you through that is because I want to use you for this. I didn't want nothing, no pain you have endured will be wasted. God can use your pain. God can use your moments of celebration. God can use everything that you've endured because he's about to do something unique and special. And so he put you through this so you can endure that. And he said to Moses, Moses, you need to know it's a new season. I want to do something different, Moses. Moses, what I'm going to do is say, Moses, I will not answer you the way you want to be answered. I will not allow you to see my face because you cannot see my holiness. I'm going to show you my presence in a new way as Isaiah described it. Why did God give you that job when you're not the most qualified? That's what Isaiah says. If I should go around this church and talk to you one by one, how come you got that apartment? How come you got that house? It's not because you're intelligent. It's not because you have money in bank. If the truth be told, other people who had more money wanted that house, that condo, that apartment, that job. And God so orchestrated his movement and plan that you got that house, you got that job, you got that promotion. So Moses, I'm not going to allow you to see my face. What I'm going to do, Moses, I'm going to carry you into the cleft of a rock. I'm going to put you in the cleft of the rock. I'm going to put my hands upon you. And Moses, when I walk by you, you will not see my face. You will see my back. Because it's not where I'm coming from, Moses. It's where I'm going that will make a difference. St. Thomas, wherever God is going, you follow God. Amen. You ask God, God, where are you taking us? And so you begin to ask yourself, what would God want St. Thomas to be 5 years from this? 10 years from this? Can you reimagine St. Thomas? Can you see a face and a body in every single pew? Can you reimagine that? It begins with God transforming our thoughts. Be transformed by the renewing of your minds to see the possibilities of what God has in mind. But he said, Moses, you are going to see my back because I'm not going where you came from. You better follow me to where I'm going. And Moses decided to follow God. And the rest was history. God said, I can keep you, Moses. Into the future, I prepared for you. I can cover you, Moses, with all that you have gone through. I can cover you and I can carry you into the future. Some of you, I'm ending. Some of you have no idea what a typewriter is. You all have cell phones. I know you all have these expensive cell phones on you. And there's a button on your cell phone called delete. So if you make a mistake when you're typing or doing email, you just touch delete and it erases the mistake you've made. But before that, there was something called a typewriter. Anybody remember that? No, these younger folks but here have no idea what I'm talking about. But there's a machine used to be called a typewriter. When I was in college, I didn't know about, I was typing on a typewriter. And when you make a mistake on your paper for the professor or the teacher, there was something called wipeout. She's okay, she has no idea what I'm talking. Google it. No, behind you, there's nothing behind. When you go Google wipeout. What the wipeout does, it would cover the mistake that you have made and you would type over it. But the mistake was still there under the wipeout. Remember that? That's what God has done. All the mistake that you and I have done. All the time we let him down. All the time we didn't read his word. We didn't talk to him. All the time we boast about what we have done and don't give him any praise. God cover it with his grace, with his mercy. And God said, I know you want to boast about how you came with nothing and how much you have achieved all by yourself. Pastor, nobody helped me. I achieved everything by hard work. No, you didn't. God helped you. God carried you. God covered you. God opened doors no one can shut. God provided for you. God protected you. God gave you possibilities. God did. And that's what he wanted to say to Moses as Moses began to fall him. You don't believe that God has carried you? When you go home, you look in your closet and see the amount of stuff in your closet. Oh my gosh, you say, oh my God, don't come to my house. You open your closet and things just fall out, nowhere to go. The amount of shoes you have, amount of hats, cupboards with plates you have never used, cups looking at you, say, when are you going to use me? A room called the living room that nobody sits in. The only time you sit there is when somebody die. It should be called the dead room. No, we have so much. And that's what he want to tell Moses whenever God is about to do a new thing. He want to remind us of the past, but don't undercut the possibilities that God has for you in the future. Great is he who is in me than who is in the world. I can do all things through Christ who strengthened me. Some great things he want to do in you. It's a new season, and God want to do it for us. I'm finished. I want to remind you that St. Thomas, you have some great days ahead. God is greater. His promise is greater than the past. That God's presence can be discovered in some new ways. And God has some new and unique ways he's going to allow this church to make a difference in the future. I don't know about tomorrow, if it may bring me poverty. But the one who feeds the sparrow is the one who stands by me. And the path that will be my portion may be through the flame or through the flood. But his presence goes before me, and I'm covered by his blood. Many things about tomorrow I don't seem to understand, but I know who holds tomorrow, and I know who holds my hand. Precious Lord, take my hand, lead me on, let me stand. I am tired, I'm weak and worn. I've been through the storm and been through the night. Lead me on into your light. Precious Lord, take my hand and lead me home. He got the whole world in his hands. He got you and me, brother. He got you and me, sister. He got the whole world in his hands. I am excited about what God is going to do through this great church. Your future is bright because he is the light of the world. Amen. Come on, give God a praise, give God a praise, give God a praise.
Please remain